Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and welcome to Rush of Low Internet. God damn it. Because apparently my internet is going slow today. I'm going to have to do a speed test, but whilst I'm waiting... whilst I'm getting that set up. Yes, welcome to Rush of Stupid. We started with a minute of silence for Bullionator. It's actually very unfortunate that he's gone, and I did not expect that to happen, because, you know, who does expect it? But, I mean, what can you do, right? And it's gonna suck not seeing him around, honestly, because I really enjoyed seeing him in live chats and all that, and I do remember, I think it was one time I actually think I was mentioning this recently. Now, I'm sure it was with Bullionator, but it might have been with someone else, but I'm sure it was Bull. And I remember when I was doing a live stream with Cult of Dusty, and one of the subjects brought up, Bullionator said, why is it that every time that I go into a live stream, tune into a live stream that has Dusty, it's this particular subject that's being brought up? I think it was like porn or something. And so, yeah. That's one of my memories about Bullionator, but, you know. Do you have anything to say, Hugh?
I was waiting for it to be introduced, actually, but
yeah.
Yes, Bull's one of those special people that you encounter in your life, and we've encountered in this community. He's one of those guys that just helps everyone, and he was loved by all. He never said a bad word about anyone. It was always... I think most people who've learned OBS, their knowledge comes back to him in this community, because he managed to produce a whole lot of shows and taught a whole lot of other people how to do it. He was just a generous and, you know, nice bloke. It's such a shock that he's gone.
Absolutely. There's something else that I was going to say, but I've forgotten it. I think it was something due to, because, yeah, he did produce a lot of shows. Oh yeah, that's it. I actually think I knew about Bullionator before from Professor Stick's Discord, I think. I actually remember seeing someone called Bullionator, and I was like, I remember thinking, does that have anything to do with Boolean variables? Because this is back in 2018, before I was popular. So he's been around for quite a bit of time. So
he has, at least as long as I've been aware of this community. Anyway, at least a year, and I'm sure he's been around for longer than that. Yeah,
definitely. Like, he's been around longer than I've been in the community, from what I can tell.
And his contribution to so many channels, you know, is very significant, and he's made his mark. And, yeah, he's going to be missed terribly, because so many of the major channels have been affected by, well, not been affected, been helped by him at some point. So, yeah, we're going to miss him. It's just sad.
Definitely. He's never going to be forgotten, because he made too much of a mark to be forgotten. So, anyway, let's get on with the stupid. Oh, and first, I should probably actually formally introduce people. Like, everyone knows who Hugh Jarsz is, but I suppose I should...
so you should.
formally introduce him to everyone. Here today on the panel, we've got Hugh Jarsz.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. And I believe this is my first opportunity to directly say to you, Planarwalk, congratulations on your 10k subs. That's a great achievement.
Yeah, it's I am working on. So there's even though there was a 10k live stream or a 10-hour 10k live stream, that's not the 10k special. The 10k special is something that I'm currently working on. It will be epic because it's going to have quite a few people in it, and I'm assuming that it's going to have Hugh Jarsz here.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll be in it if you want me to. You've been a part of my channel, I've been a part of yours. So.
Yeah, and it's going to have... I've contacted people. I'm just waiting for them. There's people that I'm waiting for to get back to me. And there's people that I'm hoping get something to me soon so that I can start planning things around that. Because, it's one of them things where some things will be planned around other things. But it all depends on how it goes. So, yeah. Anyway, on with the stupid. So, first thing that we've got is this person called Howard George Stirrup says to Professor Dave Explains, "You purchase fake subs, Professor Dave Explains. This makes you untrustworthy, and I suspect that your accomplices, Conspiracy Cat, Simon Dan, Fight the Flat Earth, Red's Rhetoric, etc., are guilty of similar as well as preaching sci-fi and retarding real science."
Well, first of all, I've got to say, stop censoring Harold, because that's that guy. He's such a nutter.
Okay. Now, he also posts a meme or whatever saying that he has 1.09 million subscribers on YouTube. However...
Professor Dave, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. However, there's only 6,861 people that like him on Facebook, and he has fewer than 100 posts on Instagram. But that's like...
different platforms.
Yeah.
You got different audiences.
Like, if I go to Twitter, I have barely any followers on Twitter compared to on YouTube. So does that mean that my 10,000 YouTube subscribers are fake?
Or maybe it does. There we are, folks. We've knocked the lid off this conspiracy. Planarwalk is fake.
Or, better yet, we could say that something like, I have 10,000 subscribers, but I only have 50 concurrent viewers on this live stream, so therefore, most of my subscribers are...
Just a few minutes. It was 14 when we started, so awesome.
Yeah, that's it's nice when I have a lot of people that tune in.
Well, a lot of it, with the tuning in, a lot of that's time zones. This is the time that suits a particular part of the world. It doesn't suit all the world, so out of your 10,000, you're not going to get all of them anyway, because a lot of people are asleep, or busy doing life. It's not a normal comparison.
But a madman
you can't really say that.
But a madman just said that he's not real, so I mean that kind of proves that all my subs are fake.
Well, obviously, yes.
Anyway, we'll go on to the next thing. Here we go.
Ooh, Urban Imposter's a robot demon. How do you get a demon roboticized or a robot demonized? I don't know.
Well,
it'd be a nice trick to figure out, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we send armies of robot demons around the world. That'd be awesome.
So, this person here says to the proletariat, says, "Please read this gun listing. I'm losing my mind." Do you want to read it out?
Hang on, let me make my screen bigger so I can see it. Where is it? Oh, damn it. Hang on. The chat is going over it. You better read it.
Okay. "My loss is your gain. I was given an ultimatum by my wife. her or my custom-built rifle. Since there isn't a legal place to sell women, here we are. This was purchased over a year, then assembled and tested by Midwest Industries in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I have over $5,000 in the build, including accessories and optics. I realize perceived value is different than emotional value, but read the build list and Google the parts before you try and lowball me. This is probably one of the most anti-Biden, anti-snowflake, and anti-man bun rifles in existence. It is a man's gun. If you have forearms and biceps like spaghetti noodles, have a man bun, are a snowflake or Democrat, this gun goes against everything you stand for. You are most certain to get a divorce for looking, let alone buying.
Well, it's an interesting piece of creative writing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, how do people actually think like this?
I have stopped being surprised at how crazy some people think. I mean, we are in the flat Earth debunking community, you know. So.
True.
Yeah, and I don't know why you needed to make it sort of anti-Democrat, because Democrats don't buy guns. It's only the Republicans that buy guns. That's why you'll never have a civil war in the US, because the Republicans are the ones who are armed and the Democrats aren't.
Yeah, like, it's one of them things. Well, sometimes you do have Democrats that buy guns, but it's one of them things where if he thinks that a Democrat wouldn't buy a gun, then why is he saying don't buy this if you're a Democrat? You know?
Well, yeah, I thought in the US you're given a gun at birth, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I'm probably insulting your audience here, but yeah, it does seem like that to people outside the US. I remember that scene. Remember the Godzilla film with the Hank Azaria? I think it was about 20 years ago. And they had this French agent guy, and they came in and he walked into this room where the French guy was, and there were just guns everywhere. And he said, "Where'd you get all this?" And he says, "This is America."
I don't remember that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, not that guns would be much use against Godzilla, but anyway.
True. There we go. So this next thing is, I'm actually disappointed in some of the replies. So this person here says, not every job should have a living wage. That is not healthy for society. It is not healthy for someone making ice cream cones at Dairy Queen to make enough to live off. You want a society that can't live off these jobs. And then you've got Shu. The caption here is, I'm going to become a communist. Because, yeah, like, I think that every job should... Like, every job is important. Well,
yeah, all work...
Most jobs are important.
All work has honour, yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that a lot of these jobs, you're taking 40 hours out of your week to make money, yeah, you should be able to live off that.
Well, also, that's the point. That's how our society works. We've got to... everyone needs to have a means of earning their living somehow, so that they can feed their families and whatever.
Yeah.
Have a roof over their heads. And if you don't pay people to do the work that you ask them to do, then no one's going to do it, because they still have to somehow make a living.
Yeah, I saw this reply that was absolutely cancerous. Yeah. Mark Sullivan says, they aren't wrong. Those were jobs meant for teens during the summer or for after school, so they could make some fun money or something. It's like, but there are actually people that work these jobs, you know?
Yeah. And that's their entire living, yeah.
Yeah, like, just because you expect a teen to be working at that job doesn't mean that teens will necessarily be working on that job. There's reality, and then there's what you want reality to be. And these things don't necessarily conform to each other.
Well, if you talk to Flurfs, you know that very well.
Exactly.
And conspiracy nutters in general, because that's what it's all about. They invent this world that they think the world should be, and then when it doesn't match that, then they come up with reasons why it isn't. And most of the time, they just make up those reasons. And this guy's just exhibiting the same mental approach, I guess.
Yeah. I do like Ugly German Truth's response to this. That is not healthy for society. What the fuck? Oh, contraire, my valley girl. It is not healthy for society having jobs not pay us pay for a living as unhealthy as it creates working poor. And yeah, like I think that having people that are working and that are poor is not good for society.
No, I agree.
And
it's what breeds discontent, put it that way.
Yeah. Like, you've also got the problem that a lot of people, one of the main issues that are stopping them from getting a job is the fact that they need work experience, right?
Yeah.
And so they need to find a job that might be minimum wage or something, and so they work there, and you've got you'll have them, they'll work there, and then they'll just so that they can get work experience. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be earning anything higher in the future, because there's a lot of jobs that actually pay minimum wage.
Yeah, it's better to have some experience and none at all. But yeah, you also got to pay your way too. So yeah, there are a lot of jobs out there that do suit students and kids during the summer and that sort of thing, and there will always be a market for that, and that's good. That gives them that work experience. It's better if I'm got someone applying for a job and I see someone who's done nothing but sit on his ass since he got out of school, and someone who's got out and done a paper round, or not that they do those anymore, I guess, or some little job or whatever, just done something, I'm more likely to get the guy who's done something, or girl who's done something, rather than someone who's done nothing.
Yeah. And also, when it comes to the idea that some jobs are meant for teens or something, one of my responses would be, well, how many jobs do you think are meant for teens during the summer, right? Because I can guarantee you that there is probably way more jobs that you'd say are meant for teens during the summer, like maybe burger flipping or something like that pay minimum wage and probably don't pay any more than ice cream cones at Dairy Queen. And these jobs should be paying a living wage because you need people to work for them. Otherwise, those, Burger King's going to close, or Hungry Jack's in Australia, is going to close down if it doesn't have workers.
Oops. Yeah, I don't think there's any jobs actually designed for kids during the summer and that sort of thing, except maybe summer camps and things like that. It's just that they become suited to that particular sector of the market. But they still need to be paid properly. And in most countries, there's laws to make sure that that's the case.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll go on to the next thing, because this kind of thing does give me cancer. These types of arguments that argue that people should not have living wages. No,
that's ridiculous, yeah. I mean, I guess there's part-time jobs, but that's not designed for people to live off as a result. Because they don't have 40 hours work. They've only got 20 hours work or whatever.
Yeah, like I do actually know someone that's working a part-time job, although recently it's become closer to a full-time job, right? In fact, they were, I think they worked something like 43 hours last week. And we do have a fairly high minimum wage here, which is good for them, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that they should get less because it's part-time, you know?
Yeah, well, that'd be a Christmas casual type job, I guess, to some extent. But that's good for them. They get a lot more money. They get 43 hours when they normally get 20. That's more than doubling their money. And, of course, those extra hours are... if it's casual rate, they'll get the same rate, I guess. But in a lot of places, you'll get extra money for those extra hours. So.
Yeah. All right, time to go to my favourite... one of my favourite Twitter accounts. Cursed Conspiraboomer Images. So... Here is... We're going to compare the real Joe Biden to the actor Joe Biden. Because we've got... This here is apparently the real Joe Biden, who is a deep state traitor and pedophile, whereas the actor Joe Biden is a comedy genius secretly saving America.
Well, if he's a comedy genius, we haven't seen him for a while.
And... It asks the question, do you really think Trump would allow this criminal to run for president?
What's it got to do with Trump? I mean, he doesn't allow or, say who can run and who can't.
Yeah, I mean, the recent election is kind of proof that he doesn't get to decide who runs.
And that's the way it should be. No sitting president should have that much power.
Exactly. I can't tell whether this is for or against Joe Biden being the new president.
It sounds like it's a nutter, so it doesn't really matter.
True. Yeah, it's crazy.
But those two pictures, though, that's interesting. The guy on the right seems to have a toupee, whereas the guy on the left, I guess it is a bit toupee-ish. Yeah, it's a bit hard with these sort of photos.
Yeah, like they do look like two different people. And I mean, they might actually be two different people, but if it is two different people, then it's probably a case where the guy on the left is probably not actually Joe Biden.
Oh, I'm sure they're the same guy. It's just different lighting and different facial expressions and things like that makes you look different. That's the whole point of facial expressions. Yeah,
I mean, there's a couple of things that are probably going on here, and you could probably find me when I had long hair and a beard and go, do you really think this Planarwalk is the same Planarwalk as, and then show a picture of me as
the young boy looking one,
yeah, and be like, this Planarwalk clearly looks older, even though it's from 2017, and this Planarwalk is clearly younger. So obviously they replaced him at the end of 2017 and started making him make flat Earth content to,
Maybe it's one of those robot demons we were talking about earlier.
He's CGI.
Yes, CGI.
He's just like Creaky.
Is Creaky a robot?
Well, Creaky is obviously CGI. He's just a CGI conspiracy cats.
Well, it's a whole raft of those that could be the same person. There's Creaky, Conspiracy Cats, Mr. Sensible. There's a couple of others who have the same hairstyle, put it that way.
Yeah. But anyway, this next one... So, this is a story that required 4 screenshots to tell. And so, it started with this person saying, I went into DC last night to visit a girl I've been seeing. I met her from a dating app. Due to the fact that bars are shut down, it's hard to meet people. As she's on top of me, she stops kissing me, looks me in the eye, and asks, you didn't vote for Trump, did you? Now, firstly, I just want to say, who does that? Maybe it is a thing in America, but I would never interrupt anything like that to ask if someone voted for Trump. Never.
Well, I see that a lot, actually. no one asked, did you vote for Biden? But a lot of people asked if you voted for Trump. I see that as a single gentleman, I'm often looking at dating sites. And a lot of the profiles say that if you voted for Trump, we're not going to get on and things like that.
In Australia?
I would have thought people were a little bit more open-minded than that. But, hey, that makes it an easy swipe left or right, whichever way it goes.
Yeah, but it is one of them things where, like, I feel like it would be something that you'd try and find out before you're actually kissing them.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, I guess there's an attraction. I just want to clarify, I would get rid of them not because they were anti-Trump, but because their mind is obviously so closed that they won't even consider anything else. That, well, for me, I need people to have open minds. You know, I want to be able to talk about anything. I don't really care what your point of view is. You're quite entitled to have that, but I've got to be able to express mine, whatever it happens to be on any particular subject, and that to me is a sign of intelligence and respect and a decent human being. So I don't want someone who's not a decent human being, put it that way.
Yeah, but the next part is where this person says, I stared back at her for a brief moment, politely peeled her off me, then without... Yeah, I mean, he's got great ways of saying things. He's a great literary composer. That's why this is such a great story time. Then, without a word, began putting my clothes and my shoes on. She is frantically asking where I am going as I take the rest of the bottle of Syrah to the face. I said, I can't see you anymore, and left.
I wonder what Syrah is. I've never heard of that.
I'm thinking it's a type of alcohol.
Yeah, that's what he meant by to the face, I guess.
Yeah. On the journey home, I take the most beautiful road in the country, George Washington Memorial Parkway, right on the bank of the Potomac. For those familiar... Potomac, okay. For those familiar, there are many scenic overlooks on this road. I had an insatiable desire to stop and enjoy the brisk December evening. As I sit on the stone wall overlooking the river, frogs creaking, Washington Monument peering over the trees in the distance, DC lights illuminating the sky, I became overwhelmed with emotion. I gazed at Washington's monument while I sit on his road overlooking his city. Eyes glossy, I contemplate the state of this country. How in God's name did we reach this point? What would Washington think? I looked to the sky for answers, for a sign, something. Lo and behold, the biggest shooting star I've ever seen slices through the midnight sky. Apparently, Syrah is a type of wine.
Right. He's not a bad writer, is he?
No, he's not.
Good in the imagery, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is Twitter, is it? I mean, what a waste. Wasting it on Twitter, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Then he continues, I'm not a religious man, but this is the closest I've ever felt to God. So I gave prayer a chance for the first time since I was a child. I asked God what it is that I am expected to do. My business is crippled, my people are persecuted, my country is tainted with corruption. As a man who swore an oath to defend the Constitution from all threats, foreign and domestic, how am I expected to sit idly by and watch darkness descend over the greatest nation the world has ever known, my country? And in that moment I was given the gift of sight, a vision. In order to vanquish the evil that lurks in the shadows, we must bring it into the light. Simply eliminating a formless entity without the people knowing they existed does not protect the future from the same fate. Illumination is the only way. Rather, apropos? Is it? No. But I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that word. As I said, he's a good writer. And he continues on to the end of the story saying, essentially, I was told this is not over. Just as I was meant to see something as I peered into the DC sky, the world is meant to see something to safeguard the future from making the same mistakes of the past. Only at the precipice do people find the will change. I do not know what will happen. I do not know what Trump plans to do. However, I do know that on January 20th, Trump will remain in office. In due time, all of us will see what it is we are meant to see. The darkness will be brought into the light. And in the end, God wins.
And that's where he loses me.
And that is the end of his story.
Well, it's a nice little story, yeah.
Yeah, apparently it does. I do agree with Stu here that it does sound like an anime antagonist, you know?
Yeah, maybe he reads a lot of anime, and that's how his style comes like this. But yeah, he is right in the sense that the best disinfectant is light. If there are things in the murky corridors, then bring them out in the light, and they disappear real quick. You know, like corruption anywhere.
Don't say that the best disinfectant is light, because you'll get a whole lot of Trump stands saying that they'll inject light into your veins or something like that to get rid of coronavirus.
Well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? You know, all the fake news that comes around. But anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, we've always had fake news. The side that's not in power is going to be generating as much fake news as possible. You know, that's the way it always happens.
Well,
Obama got heaps from Fox News, and CNN has been pumping it out throughout Trump, and then it'll go back to Fox News for Biden. Well, for the few weeks that Biden's president, anyway.
Well,
before he dies.
I find that like when it comes to Fox and News, now things aren't just. Now, I do have to agree, but also disagree. Like, I don't think that something will suddenly become fake news just because the people that they support are not in power. I think that something is quite often fake news, regardless of who's in power. Like, Fox is fake news, regardless of whether Trump or Biden is in power, right? And the same would go for CNN. And there is also other things that you got to look into, like how trustworthy things actually are, because people will often take one example of something that's incorrect and then blow it out of proportion. That's why it's good to check on. I think there's some like Media Watch sites that actually will tell you how much fake news a particular source has.
Well, actually, some of those are fake news in themselves.
True. Like, if they're saying that everything on the left is true, whereas everything on the right is fake news, then...
Or vice versa, yeah.
Yeah, then they're fake news. But if it has a thing saying, well, these things that are on the left are fake news, and these things on the right are fake news, and these things on the right are trustworthy, and these things on the left are trustworthy, and all that.
We've got to stop thinking in terms of left and right is the problem. It makes us tribal, and that gives us that primes us to think in a certain way, and we've got to look at things objectively as much as we possibly can. And unfortunately, journalists have abandoned all pretense of being a news service, and they're just giving their opinion. In fact, they're trained to do that, and because the reason for that is because it attracts advertising. It gives sensationalism, and tabloids exist for a reason. So, yeah, it means if you're looking to figure out what's actually going on, you've got no chance. The only way you've got any chance at all is to watch news services from both sides. And then where they both say the same thing, that's probably the truth. Everything else is bullshit.
Yeah. I do have to say that Brett Abel makes a good point. Blowing a story out of proportion does not mean fake news. So
no, that's true.
Yeah, like a lot of things,
twisting it to mean something that it doesn't mean is fake news.
Yeah, like a lot of news outlets, because the way that I see it is that news outlets are often their goal is to get clicks, right?
Absolutely.
And they will try and make things make as many sensationalist headlines as they can to try and get clicks. So a lot of people will not look past the sensationalist headlines and will just see a headline.
Most people don't read anything else. It's just ridiculous that people think they're informed by reading a headline.
Yeah. And so it's one of them things where if you just read the headline, you'll go, this is fake news or whatnot. But when you actually look into the article, the headline is just to grab people's attention. And the rest of the article is actually fairly trustworthy. So it really comes down to it just really comes down to the particulars of what you're looking at, I guess. That's a good way to put it. Anyway, we'll continue on because how long has this particular thing taken?
Well, I thought we finished reading it. Is there more to it?
No, this has... we finished reading it, but it took quite a while to read it out in the first place. Kursk and Spuraboomer images. I love these Kursk and Spuraboomer images. Although sometimes they... sometimes they can be a little bit... repetitive. That's why I always try and get the fresh ones, Like this one here. Remember the 2012 London Olympics? They were telling us what they were going to do. That's the way Satanism works. They need to announce it. And they say, remember the opening ceremonies for the 2012 London Olympics? The one where they erected 13 all-seeing eye pyramids looking over a global pandemic. That was fun and normal.
I don't remember that.
No, I don't remember that either. And sure, this does look like a virus, but it could literally just be that it's a round shape and it has things that point out of it,
Well, most people don't know what a virus looks like. It could be it's more likely to be a round shape with things that point out of it, because you've got access ways from the stadium. You've got to be able to get into the middle of the stadium. So, of course, you're going to have things coming out of it. Yeah.
Now, why do they have to announce what they're going to do with Satanism?
Yeah, basically they're saying that every announcement is Satanism. That makes no sense.
Yeah, it's one of them things where it's like a lot of people point to hidden symbols in the media, and it's just like, okay, just because someone does this doesn't mean that they're signifying that they're a Satanist. It just means that they're, sometimes they might be making an okay sign.
That's like saying that a crossroad is a secret symbol of Christianity, just because it's a cross.
Yeah.
Or a pedestrian crossing. That's a secret symbol of Christianity,
Yeah. The main reason why they think that they need to announce things is because they find something that they think proves their point. And the question that people often has is, why would they announce something like this? And it's a very convenient to say, they had to announce it,
Well, it comes back to that conspiracy mindset, I guess in the end, the human race, there's two types of people in the world. Those that think there are two types of people in the world and those that don't. But apart from that, there's also two types of people in the world. Those who look at the facts and then form their opinion, and those who do it the other way around. And conspiracy nutters tend to be the other way around type people.
So there's people that look at the facts and then form their opinion, and then there's people that look at their opinion and then form the facts. Got it.
Well, they come up with an opinion and then look for facts that support it. And that's what all conspiracy nutters do.
Yeah. Anyway, the next image, I think I found this on Facebook. Usually, if it's just an image like this one, it's something that I found on Facebook. Because I do have a few Facebook friends that post nutty shit like this. So, amazing, isn't it? No masks, no social distancing, no healthcare, no isolation, no quarantining, not staying at home, and just living their lives as normal. And there are not dead homeless everywhere. Weird, right? So, firstly, I do want to say that I believe they are staying at home because...
Yeah, they're homeless and that's their home?
Yeah. But, Now, obviously, this is something that is it is a bad thing that we've got homeless people that aren't able to social distance, and they've got no healthcare. That is obviously a bad thing. And one of the things that they probably don't do is they probably don't get tested if they have coronavirus. Because that would...
I guess it depends on the system in the particular country we're talking about. I know here in Australia the homeless get a lot of healthcare.
Okay.
They basically just have to show up to hospital and Medicare covers it.
This is America, so... Well, this is probably America.
Pay for private health insurance.
Yeah.
I do know that they've got a budget for, pro bono, you might say, to use a legal term. But, I don't know how much the homeless actually get.
Yeah. And when it comes to this, it's like, do you actually have any stats on homeless people with coronavirus? I don't think they do. They just take an image, right, and then they're like, look, there's not dead homeless people everywhere, so therefore coronavirus obviously doesn't exist. Yet ignoring the fact that there probably are people that are homeless that have died from coronavirus. The thing is, you just don't hear about it.
Yeah, well, also that you said that they took this picture. That's one picture. I think I can see maybe 6 people in that picture.
Yeah.
And how many homeless camps, I guess, for want of a better term, are like this all over the US? You have to collect a little bit more data than just this one photograph to know for sure, wouldn't you? But that's, like I said, conspiracy nutters. They have an opinion. They look for any evidence that supports that, and they say, see, I was right.
Okay. Yeah, Ugly German Truth said, however, the Howard Centre for Investigative Journalism tracked at least 153 deaths of homeless people in the same time period, just 6 areas with large homeless populations. Okay. The Trump administration's homelessness czar, Robert Marbut, told Congress there had been 130 homeless deaths, noting that was significantly lower than originally had been projected. Okay, and the next part was Okay, that's interesting. So homeless people are dying from COVID-19. That's interesting.
Yeah, they are people after all.
Yeah,
but I think someone said earlier that people tend to social distance from homeless people anyway, and that's probably helping to some extent in this case. And they tend to social distance from each other too. So you would expect the be lower rate, but I would imagine that once it sort of gets into a particular cell, if you want to call it that, maybe it does spread a bit quickly because they're not going to be doing good hygiene practices and things like that.
Yeah,
relatively
definitely.
Anyway.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying they're dirty. I'm just saying relatively they're not going to be looking after their hygiene as well as other people.
True. Anyway, the next thing that we've got is... Oh, yeah. So, I remember exactly why I got this one. So, apparently there's someone asking, ladies, what gives you the ick? And the response is, when he's born in June, or a man born anywhere from February 19 to March 20 does not sit right with me. And born in spring, summer. And then one person responds with, OMG, I used to say this and people called me mad. There's something very unmasculine about men who aren't born in October to December, but I'll forgive you if it's September, January, or February. And then another one responds with, when a man tells me his birthday is in July, I look at him sideways. Are you a girl? Like, holy shit, this is weird. Firstly, I'm born in October, and I'm the least masculine looking man that's probably, firstly...
Wait, you're a man? Jeez, and I was going to chat you up and everything.
Right? Like, I am not masculine. I'm not very masculine at all.
Well, I think you're diminishing yourself unnecessarily there, but yeah.
Well,
you're not Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll put it that way.
Yeah, well,
Or The Rock.
yeah, the only masculine thing about me is that I have a manly voice and I have a penis. So,
You do? Oh.
yeah, surprisingly enough. Yet, in other months, people are supposedly very unmasculine. Oh, apparently I lose to H-Bomber Guy every day of the year. Oh yeah.
So are you saying the same thing about Hith?
Mate.
Actually, let me just tell you something about that woman who said, when a man tells me his birthday is in July, I look at him sideways, are you a girl? Guess when Arnold Schwarzenegger was born? The 30th of July is his birthday.
Yeah. Facty just said, Hugh Jarsz, take a look at Planarwalk's arms. And yeah, like, look at these arms.
Spaghetti arms. Well, you're very tiny on my screen right now, so yeah. Planarwalk is Hith, according to Ugly German Truce.
Yeah. So, this is why last year I made a video for Simon Dan that is basically shitting on astrology. Because people essentially believe that that things in astrology can actually tell you what you're gonna turn out like, or in some case they think that it determines your physical traits, yet genetics. That's all I'm gonna say. Genetics.
Yes, the astrology and genetics just aren't connected.
Yeah. So, like, I don't think that it's right to just judge someone based off of when they're born, because, you know, when it comes to when you're born, like, that doesn't play a role on your personality. Like, I'm a far more complex person than what can be described by whatever my star sign says about me.
Well, what I want to understand is, you know, in a couple of centuries or so, we'll be going to other star systems. Will astrology change? If you're born in this solar system, how will astrology affect you in another solar system?
Yeah, like, and
Interesting thought experiment.
And I do like what Adrian Clark said. When the modern zodiac was actually put together, the stars weren't even in the same places now.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, Flurfs deny that.
Yeah. Like, I've actually got a video that I'm working on where this Flurf denies that he says Polaris has been in the same spot since recorded history, and it's like, no, that's just false.
Yeah, the additions prove that. It was Thuban 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Have I got that around the right way, or is it becoming? No, it was. Is it going to become Thuban, or was it Vega, or I can't remember.
It's going to become Vega. It's
right.
Currently Polaris, and it was Thuban. Or Alpha Draconis was the other name given to Thuban.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just proves that they're three-dimensional objects. They're not up in on a dome or anything like that. We're all moving relative to each other, because all motion is relative anyway. And so space is real. It's out there. We can prove that with parallax.
Yeah. What was I going to... Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm going to bring up the next thing.
But, yeah, reality and flirts don't mix, though.
Yeah. Well, I find that reality and conspiracy nutters don't mix very well.
Yeah, they're trying to create a reality that they find more entertaining than the real one.
Now, I'm going to say that this here does look like a Photoshop. But Jesus Christ, people are mad about this.
Oh, this is at Mecca.
Yeah.
Yes, it certainly looks like Photoshop. The lighting is all wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, but This person says, respect all religions and people so we can respect you. This is disrespectful for our religion. So if one day someone disrespected you, remember that you deserve it. Now, firstly, their religion disrespects gay people. Like, so I don't think that... I don't think that people are deserving of respect. I don't think that a religion is necessarily deserving of respect just because it's a religion or just because a lot of people believe in it. Right?
Totally agree.
I think that people are deserving of respect. Right? Like if...
and we should respect their right to want to have a religion.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you have to respect the actual religion, especially if the religion says go and kill a certain group of people and things like that.
Yeah. So, I'll respect the individual people in a given religion. Just like I respect Christians that I know. I respect I even respect Christians that I don't know. I don't actually know any Muslims personally, but if I did, I'd respect them. That doesn't necessarily mean that I have respect for their religion, though, because sometimes I just don't think that particular religions are a good religion, and I think that sometimes they say pretty bad things.
And that's just the basic respect of you're allowed to disagree with someone. It's just over religion, this particular subject. No two human beings agree on everything. We all have our own opinions, and they're all unique. And it's kind of essential that we respect that other people could have a different opinion to you. So, you know, and the same applies to religion.
And if two people want to kiss at a holy site, then that's fine. Now, to be fair, if they were to say that a man and a woman kissing at Mecca was disrespectful, then I'd be like, okay, I
would think it would be, actually. So
yeah, then it would be like,
and I'd be upset about that too.
Well, I'd actually be like, okay, that's actually fair enough. But if it's just because they're gay, then that's when I have an issue. It's like doing certain things in public, right? If a couple of people are making out in public, I'm not going to tell them to stop, but it can be uncomfortable when some people make out in public.
Because there are times and places for things. You don't expect at a formal dinner to go into the middle of the room and start farting. You just don't do that. It's just not acceptable behaviour. And
it doesn't depend. It doesn't depend who, what gender the people are that are making out. If it's two men or two women or male and female, it's that doesn't have an effect on me.
Yeah, it's whether or not it's appropriate to do it at all in that particular space.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely Photoshop. You don't have a rainbow flag flying over the main part of Mecca. I can't remember the name of the thing, the square thing, but that's the most holy site in Islam, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have a rainbow flag flying over it.
There's also a rainbow here, so this does look
you don't have rain in Mecca. It's a desert.
Yeah, so I highly doubt that this is real, and just the way that they are kissing looks like, and that looks like Obama, right?
Sorry, what looks like Obama?
The guy on the left looks like Obama.
His suntan isn't quite good enough for that, I would say, but
it still
does have the same facial features, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Obama. And they the kissing, the way that they're kissing looks so awkward, right?
Yes, yeah, it doesn't look natural, does it? And they're not close or anything.
Yeah, like if they were closer, then it would look a bit more legit. But yeah, this does not look legitimate at all.
I'm on my iPad, so I'm only seeing like the last couple of messages. Andrew Clark just said there's someone trolling about COVID being a hoax. I don't know if you can see that.
I have Petcom. Yeah, he's gonna get hidden. I'd use it on this channel. Because he was just spamming cvhoax.com, 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 so yeah.
Tell that to the people, of the families of the people who have died. That's just reprehensible to say things like that.
Yeah, but it's the main reason why I banned him is because he was spamming. Not because he was, because it's... I let people disagree. Yeah. But if you're spamming something... then you're gonna get hidden because there's way too many bots that have been spamming shit lately on my channel. So a lot of people have gotten hidden because of that. People
say your piece by all means, but don't just say it over and over and over. You know, we either heard it the first time or we just don't care.
I can guarantee you that as soon as this video as soon as this video is done, or as soon as the stream is done, there's going to be a comment saying something like 019 or 033, and then it's like sexygirls.com. And
I delete those as soon as I see them.
Yeah, I hide the user as soon as I see them.
Apparently one of those, remember when Team Skeptic got hacked a few months ago?
Yeah.
Apparently it was because of one of those, so every time I see that, and usually within 2 minutes of the video going up, they come on. So it's obviously a bot, and I just delete it straight away. Yeah.
So this person here says fire requires oxygen. Let that sink in. So we're going to
JM Truth.
Yeah. We're in Flurfville at the moment for Russia's Stupid. It surprises me that they actually think that the sun is like a ball of fire, right? And let me tell you something. Let's say that it is a ball of fire. And let's say that the Earth is flat. There is a pressure gradient. Let that sink in.
Well, it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be so heavy it'd fall to the earth.
Well, no, there's a pressure gradient up there. By the time you get to the sun, where is all the oxygen gone?
Oh, I was thinking from the point of view that they say it's about 30, the sun is 30 miles across. So if there's very little oxygen up where the sun is, what's it floating on?
Well, true, there is that, but...
Because 30 miles across, that's going to be heavy no matter what it's made of.
Absolutely. But this isn't the stupidest thing that I've seen on this. So this person here says nuclear reaction needs uranium to work. Comma no space.
No, it needs a nucleus. That's all it needs.
It's no apostrophe. That sun has uranium that injection to atomic cell. No space. Sun wasn't nuclear reaction.
No, reaction.
Sun wasn't nuclear reaction.
He's got erection.
Yeah, nuclear reaction needs uranium to work.
It's amazing, I mean, there is no correlation between ability to spell and intelligence, but if you're going to make a point, you need to be clear. So you've got to make an effort. It doesn't take any time at all to look up dictionary.com to get the correct spelling if you're not sure.
Yeah. So the nuclear reaction that's happening in the sun, and I'm sure I don't need to explain this to my audience, but the nuclear reaction that goes on in the sun is a fusion reaction, not a fission reaction. Uranium in uranium reactors or uranium bombs is a fission reaction, meaning that the atom is split. In the Sun, fusion is where two atoms are combined together, generally hydrogen atoms. This forms helium. So, that is something...
First would say that's what makes the Sun float, the helium.
Oh yeah, Flat Earth Aussie Jesus would say something like that, even though he thinks that the Sun is an interdimensional portal.
Which we worship, yeah. That's why they made the moon to mock us.
Yeah. Even though that he says that he loves the Sun or something like that, so...
You're very patient with him. I couldn't... when I first encountered him, I thought, oh yeah, he's the sort of guy I could have a beer with. In fact, I tried to have a beer with him. But yeah, then I realised he's just a complete arsehole. That's all he is.
Yeah,
and a complete nutter as well.
Well, it's unfortunate that I didn't run into him when I was in Byron Bay. Would have had a great conversation with him.
He doesn't actually live in Byron Bay. He's a bit west of there, but yeah, a beautiful little town. He said it on publicly. It's called Clunes. I'm not doxing him. You can do the rest if you want to find out where he lives. I don't know why you'd want to. But his house is actually across the road from a church, so I thought it was odd that the people going to that church didn't know that Jesus was living across the road.
Yeah, that's a bit funny. Probably not the Jesus that they were expecting, though.
No, probably not.
Yeah. Anywho,
we'll wait till the third coming if he's Jesus.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to say, oh, Jesus has come again, when Flat Earth Aussie Jesus comes, so...
Yeah, that's a thought I don't want to have.
So, this person called Hunter Harwell says, glad to hear the short 5'11" guys like myself are loved here. 1 inch too short anywhere else. I'm 5'10". Am I short?
I wouldn't consider that short. No, I wouldn't consider... Well, 5'10" would be average, I would have thought. Or close to average. Close enough to average for it not to matter. I believe in Australia the average height of a male is 6 foot. So 5'10" is close enough not to matter, I would have thought.
Yeah, like... the way that I see it is 5 foot... like, if you're in the sort of 5 foot or above range, you're generally an average height. Or 5'8" or above range, I mean. For a guy. I mean, girls are shorter than guys. And...
on average, yes.
Yeah, and so some of them get insecure when they're like 5 foot. And I've met someone that's actually under 5 foot. I actually know someone that's like 5 foot... 5'3". Even though like 5'4" is like a really average height for a girl.
Oh, I know one of my oldest friends is 5 foot. Nothing.
But she's
fact,
like...
I've got a couple of the same height. So they're very, very, quite tiny. And they sort of use me to look taller.
Yeah. But like, 5 foot... Like, this person that's 5'3", she's really insecure about her height, even though like 5'3", or 5'4" is a very average height for a girl, right?
Yeah, I would have thought girls have no trouble with height because they're not the ones. You know,
they're not the ones that
sort of have to think about height. Yeah,
yeah, they're not the ones that are judged on being too short, right?
Yeah, because girls, the shorter they are, the cuter they are. Usually, generally, that's the idea, you know.
Chris O says New Zealand is smaller.
Yeah,
as a smaller island though, they're devolving into hobbits. Yeah, like I know people that are like.
What do you mean devolving?
Yeah, we're evolving into hobbits here, mate.
Remember, they're Kiwis, so.
Yeah, basically, Kiwis are a small flightless bird. So.
I used to, speaking about differences in heights between the sexes, I used to know this Indian couple, and he was like 6'5", 6'6", and he was easily 400 pounds, and she was 5 foot nothing, and be lucky to be 60 pounds. We used to joke, she's always on top.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually. I weighed myself today. Was it last night? I think it might have been today. Like there's scales and I stepped on them and I was 54 kgs.
Wow, that's skinny.
Yeah, that was with clothes on, by the way, with what I'm wearing right now.
Gee, some of my meals weigh that much.
Yeah, well, you to be true, you do have a huge ass, so.
It's not just my name, it's what I am.
Yeah. So, moving on to some of the crazier things. Oh, and I just saw what's coming up after this, so that's going to be something fun. So, from Cursed Conspiraboomer Images, we've got... So Santa and Satan is another one of their anagrams, right? And they're pointing out how apparently Obama looks like Satan or something. Or has a particular vein like they expect Satan to have. Anyway.
Gee, I wonder if they're drawing a long bow. Oh, look at the image they're using for the horn thing. It's obviously fake anyway. It's not a real demon or anything. Not that they could get a photo of a real demon, but and they say, well, Obama's veins compared to this fake demon prove that he's a demon. What?
Maybe they're saying that this is Obama. The demon is
the guy with the mask and things.
Yeah, I think they're probably saying that this is Obama, and because it's got the same vein. I mean, it does look similar, but people look similar all the time. You know, like...
Oh, my God. I just saw... They're saying that because Obama's daughter is named Natasha, Natasha spelled backwards is Satan.
Well,
Jeez, that's proof positive!
Yeah, like, I know someone called Natasha, and they're really short as well, just to link it to the last one. But yeah, it says Obama's daughters are Malia and Natasha, spelt backwards. Ilam are Satan. Now, if I remove the word Allah from the sentence, because apparently they're going to remove random letters until they get what they're looking for, it says, exactly. I am Satan.
So who is Satan? Both of them? I am Satan is singular. But you're talking about two.
To be fair, this would have worked better if he had have named his daughter Malia with two L's, because they'd have been like, okay, if you remove Allah, which basically means God,
Arabic for God, yeah,
Arabic for God, then it would be I am Satan. You know, remove God from it, and he's Satan. But at this point, it's just drawing connections where there are none. And it's only if you put them in the particular order as well.
It's sort of like saying that 0.666 is something to do with the number of the beast, which isn't 666 anyway. But 0.666 is not 666.
Yeah.
And Allah with one L is not Allah. And also, he wrote it Malia and Natasha. If he'd written Natasha and Malia, this wouldn't work.
Yeah, if he had put it around the other way, you get different things.
It's nothing more than an interesting coincidence, but it means nothing.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing that people were going on about when it comes to the election. What does this mean? Nothing. Go out and vote. You know?
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, even if this was, he did this, Obama named his children this way on purpose. So what?
Yeah, like...
He's saying, I am Satan, after you've turned them backwards and removed Allah. But what does that achieve, you know?
Yeah. I do like what a madman said. My dyslexia led me to selling my soul to Santa. So a madman is going to become an elf. Because that's what happens when you sell your soul to Santa. Going to be you're going to end up as a really short elf. Although I
Yes, you'll
suppose Santa would
A
only...
slave worker in a toy factory. Yeah.
I suppose Santa would only accept really short people, so you're probably not going to end up selling your soul to Santa if you're, like, tall. Although apparently under 6 foot is short now, so, yeah.
Will Ferrell did that, didn't he?
Oh, he was, in the movie Elf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this is one thing I've been wanting to get to for the whole stream. This is from some dickhead on Twitter called Planarwalk.
There are dickheads on Twitter?
Yeah. But anyway, Planarwalk says, so I just saw this anti-vaping image from Asthma Foundation on Facebook. Now, this reminds me of some anti-science movement, but I can't put my finger on it. Oh wait, there it is. So there was this image that I saw on Facebook saying, just because they say it's safe doesn't mean it is. Don't get sucked in, and it's anti-vaping. Now, does this remind anyone else of some anti-science movement?
Anti-vaccine, maybe? Or 5G?
Yeah, just because they say it's safe doesn't mean it is. Oh, there it is. Brilliant. Could be said for same could be said for the vaccinations. I'm also not anti-vax. I'm pro-choice. My body, my choice. Right. Yeah, and it's my choice not to allow you to, participate in certain activities.
Yeah, especially if the government's paying for it.
Yeah. But there's only one comment on that particular one. The one comment.
Well, you did say your Twitter isn't followed very much.
Well, no, I'm saying like this is on Facebook. On that particular image, there was one comment, and this was that comment. There were as a collection of images, there were some other comments, but on that particular image, because you can comment on either the particular image or the post on Facebook, apparently. On that particular image, there was one comment, and that was it. It was someone being...
So no one cared.
Yeah. But, that wasn't what I...
So, the Asthma Foundations basically said that anti-vaping is not necessarily safe?
They said that vaping is not necessarily safe.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading it. I should have said just vaping.
And, it's one of them things...
Well, that's fine. Give some evidence.
Yeah.
You're the Asthma Foundation. You should know these things.
Yeah, and I think that vaping is definitely safer than cigarettes, and smells better too as well. After someone smells a cigarette, they smell like shit, but after the vapes, they don't necessarily smell like shit.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never done either.
Yeah.
But obviously, cigarettes, it's hard to deny that has a negative effect. I've not seen anything about vaping that says it's negative.
Yeah.
Other than it creates clouds and things. I've seen people driving while vaping, and you're thinking, I can't see where I'm going. How can you see where you're going?
Yeah. There is the whole the thing that backfired a bit when people the idea behind vaping was to get people off cigarettes. But in reality, what's happened is a lot of people have gotten addicted to vaping, right?
Yeah.
And
well, it's like methadone and heroin, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, so...
But methadone has a negative effect on you as well. I don't know about vaping.
Yeah, and so when it comes to this, it has... More people have started vaping than I assume that people that have stopped smoking cigarettes. This is a wild assumption. I have no evidence for that statement. But if vaping is safe, then there's nothing wrong with it,
Well, theoretically, if it's been approved by the FDA, and in Australia we automatically accept anything that the FDA has approved, then theoretically it's gone through a set of rigorous tests to prove that whether or not it's safe, and you got to have some faith in your processes. That's the whole point of them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to do nothing.
Yeah. There is actually something... I keep on pressing the wrong thing. But yeah, there is something that I actually remembered really randomly, right? Does anyone remember the synthetic cannabis? Because I
No.
Okay, like I just literally remembered...
Well, it's made from plastic or something.
I don't know what it's made from, but there was, like, a few years back in New Zealand, there was this whole ordeal around synthetic cannabis, and I really should have... I really should have brought this up when I was talking about the negative effects of making marijuana legal, is that people try to find alternatives, and synthetic cannabis, apparently was pretty bad for people. But that because they're trying to basically find something or make an alternative to cannabis. Yeah, K2 was the name of the synthetic cannabis.
Well, I know alternative to cannabis, alcohol.
Yeah, well, although to be fair, like alcohol is far worse than marijuana, so
Yeah, well, it certainly kills more people.
yeah.
I mean, my biggest objection to, and I think it should be legalized, but my biggest objection to the legalization of marijuana in places where it's not legal already is that people who are high on marijuana go out. They shouldn't be out on the roads with the rest of us. But the same thing applies to alcohol. So.
Yeah. Like as I've said multiple times, any argument that can be used to say that marijuana should be illegal can be used to say that alcohol should be illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, this is something that exists. Some people are surprised by this. Some people are not surprised by this. But ABC research project gave homeless people $7,500 each. The results were beautifully surprising. And participants found housing faster, boosted food security, and reduced spending on substances, study found. I mean, yeah, of course, like no shit people are going to find housing faster. No shit their food security will be boosted. And, I can understand why they would reduce spending on substances,
Yeah, they found better things to spend it on.
Yeah.
Like the housing.
Because...
The thing is, it's only temporary, though. Did it help them find jobs? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah. But,
because it'd only last so long if you found housing, so...
Like, if you're homeless, it is likely that you are probably pretty depressed, right?
Yep.
And so, what's one of the things that I'd assume would lead people to substance abuse? Depression. Right? Oh.
Yep.
Now, if you're not homeless, if you have some kind of, if you have food security, you have housing, then I assume that you'd be less likely to rely on substances to have fun because... housing is an important part of not being depressed, and same with food security. And also, boosting food security is a natural consequence of having a house as well,
Yeah, because you can protect your food what food you do have a bit more easily than you can in a tent amongst a whole bunch of hungry homeless people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for homeless people is to have a job, have some sort of income. That reduces your depression, which is the cause of most, as you said, of the issues that they need to deal with. If you've got a job, you can get housing more easily. You've got your food security. You can look after your health a lot better, and you've got your dignity back. And I used to work for what was called a workplace participation company for a while, and that was the number one thing. There was a definite correlation between not having a job, and not necessarily homeless, but not having a job and crime, because people get desperate, and
absolutely,
then they turn to crime because it's easy, basically.
Yeah.
Even though if they get caught, then the consequences are severe.
That's why I do support a UBI. Now, I'm not necessarily in support of a UBI that covers everything, at least not currently. I do think that eventually a UBI will need to cover everything. But for now, a UBI that covers, maybe half of what you'd expect to need to live on should suffice, right? Because people still need to work. Because otherwise, if people don't work, everything collapses. But if it turns out that unemployment decreases when a UBI is implemented, or at least part of a UBI, then that's a good thing, right?
Well, yeah. We've yet to test that, of course. We have unemployment benefits now, which are about half what you need. I'm talking from an Australian point of view, but that doesn't seem to help unemployment go down. And you've got situations like the COVID situation, which is a completely different factor that no one anticipated, and that's causing a lot of unemployment right now too.
Yeah.
UBI wouldn't affect it there.
Now, I don't necessarily think that UBI would make unemployment go down, but if it does, that would be a good thing. But we don't know if it will. People say that UBI would make unemployment skyrocket because people would just want to live off UBI. And, sure, some people would be happy with $1,000 a month, and then, after they get their $1,000 a month, they're like, okay, I don't need to work, so... But that's also kind of the point of it, because...
Yeah, the people who don't want to work will be, they'll be sitting out anyway. But they won't be creating problems.
Yeah, because there's these things called bullshit jobs. And the way that I like to describe it is, imagine that you're working digging something for someone, and there's 10 people employed where you are, right? Now, the company doesn't make these people redundant, because what they could do is they could get a digger, right, and use that digger to replace all these people, and it would cost less than what it does to employ all these people. But they keep all these people digging with spades on. Now, the only reason that they don't fire all these people or make all these people redundant is because so that they can create jobs. Now, if that's the case, why don't they just employ people digging with spoons?
Yeah, or the bare hands.
Yeah.
And how could you can't run a business that way. It'd just be so inefficient that, any profit you do make will be gone straight away.
Yeah. So I don't think that just because something creates jobs that it's necessarily a good thing. I think it's really the utility that you get out of it at the end of the day should be what we focus on, rather than how many jobs this thing would create. That's for example, in Australia, one of the reasons why they're not moving away from coal power is because they don't want people to lose their jobs, right? And never mind the fact that renewables would create jobs, right? But coal power, saying that coal power creates jobs is an excuse for keeping coal power around doesn't necessarily mean that we should keep coal power around. It'd be like what's something that's obsolete? It'd be like blacksmiths, right? Saying that we shouldn't get rid of blacksmiths because blacksmiths create jobs, even though that it's not really useful to be a blacksmith at this point.
Well, there's a market for it, and it's filled by certain blacksmiths, but yeah, it's not a widespread thing. You don't hire 20,000 blacksmiths just to create jobs.
And Adrian Clark says, "Oh my fucking god, they're still on coal there." Yeah, like Australia is one of, if you count Australia's emissions as well as its exports, then it is actually the worst emitter per capita. That's actually something that would be surprising to quite a few people, because you'd assume that Australia would be pretty good. Well, a lot of people would assume that Australia would be pretty good, but it's actually pretty bad. I generally assume that New Zealand and Australia are very similar, but apparently they're not.
Well, we speak English for a start.
Yeah, we speak New Zealandese, so...
Yeah. I'll speak about Lachlas. Don't say dit.
I completely understood that.
Oh, well, my Kiwi accent's not so bad then.
Anyway, apparently in Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania, blah blah. Oh no, you mean that's Transylvania? Sorry.
Yeah, with unemployment benefits ending, Pennsylvanians urged to seek other options. What else
are they going to do?
Yeah. What other options?
Yeah. Well, if the benefits are ending, then the options are poverty, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe they can start a GoFundMe.
Yes, well, or start a YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah. So here's a further quote. Pennsylvanians receiving PUA or PEUC payments need to be aware that they will not be able to file a claim next week and should begin preparing now to seek the necessities they will need through other means. And
I think they need a bit more than a week's notice.
Yeah, said L&I Acting Secretary Jennifer Beria. I urge current PUA and PUEC claimants to apply for additional assistance through programs outside of L&I as soon as possible to prevent their families from reaching an emergency or dangerous situations. Maybe they could have given, they could have given an example.
Or why aren't they on those in the first place? I mean, if these things were available, then why weren't they on them anyway?
Yeah.
It's the government that's supposed to advise the people of what they can do, not the other way around.
Yeah. Maybe they could start an OnlyFans.
Well, it depends how big their tits are, I guess.
True. But yeah, I might actually start a GoFundMe for something soon, depending on depending on what it costs. Because I mean, I like my teeth, and currently one of my teeth has a hole in it. Not good. But I may depending on what it costs. Like if it's only like $100, I can foot the bill. But if it's like 500 or something, then that's more in the realm of I don't want to have to spend $500 to get a filling. But
you've got Medicare in New Zealand, though, don't you? Some sort.
I don't think that it necessarily applies to dentistry.
Okay.
It also does,
and you don't have private cover. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any private cover of or when it comes to. But would ACC cover it? Because I think I can get ACC benefits because I'm self-employed. But
what's ACC?
ACC is basically our coverage here, but I think that's mostly for hospitals. So I'm unsure. But if
it's probably unlikely. Dentistry tends to be, whenever you do have a government-supported health system, they tend to avoid dentistry because it's always expensive.
Yeah. Maybe they should I don't know if we have fluoride in the water. Maybe they should put fluoride in the water to stop dentistry from being so something that people need so early on in life. Because I'm only 24, you know?
Well, they put fluoride in the water when I was a kid, and my grandfather was a dentist, and he was always pulling my teeth, so I'm not sure the fluoride actually helped so much.
I don't know. Oh, ACC only covers accidents. Bugger.
So get someone to punch you in the mouth.
I mean, I accidentally got a hole in my tooth. Does that count? Accidents Compensation Corporation provides compulsory insurance to cover personal injury for everyone in New Zealand, whether a citizen, resident, or visitor. This means that if you are injured by an accident in New Zealand, ACC may pay some of your medical and rehabilitation costs.
Yeah, some, not all, is the thing to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, run into your microphone, as Ugly German Truth suggests, because that'd be an at-work injury, wouldn't it? You get it on workers' comp.
Yeah, that does open me up to some lawsuits, though, unfortunately, like an unsafe work environment.
Yes, you created your own unsafe work environment. How about that?
Yeah. So I could sue myself. But yeah, well, yeah, this Tornagornal says Northland DHB does basic dental eye extractions for $40 if you have a community services card. Unfortunately, I don't have a community services card.
I guess you get that if you register as unemployed, or?
Yeah, you get that if you're unemployed, and I'm counted as self-employed, so I don't have a community services card.
Shut down the channel for 2 weeks and get it, and then get your suit done and come back.
Oh, Ugly German Truth says, wouldn't your tinfoil hat already count as an unsafe work environment? True. Very true.
Well, what do you mean unsafe? It protects you from all those beamings of thoughts into your head.
I mean, depends what side you're on. But yeah. Anyway, going on to other things. Here's something that people need to do. Do we have anybody that lives in Georgia in chat?
Which one? The state or the country?
The state. Because if we have anybody that lives in Georgia in chat, then...
Georgia.
Vote for John Ossoff, because he will vote for you to have a $2,000 relief check. David Perdue won't. So, do we have anybody... Do we have anybody in chat that's from Georgia? Because I'm telling you now, if you're in Georgia, vote for John Ossoff for Senate. I officially...
What do you care?
What?
You're not going to get the $2,000 check.
I know I'm not, but still, like, I need the US dollar to go up. what's 400 US dollars to New Zealand dollars currently? USD to
about
NZD.
2 million.
It's currently it's flatlined at 462 New Zealand dollars. So, I mean,
really,
yeah,
Kiwi dollars that close to the US? See, that's surprising.
Yeah, it used to be higher. So I need the US dollar to go back up in value, because the US dollar being low in value means that I get less money. So I'm not even joking though. Like, if the US dollar is worth more, then I get more money. If the US dollar is worth less,
rate,
then I get less money. A Madman says, "Isn't that buying votes?" Not really, right? Because
I remember Andrew Chang during the
Andrew,
Democrat race.
Andrew
Yang, sorry, wrong one. He was offering $1,000 for I can't remember what it was offering for, but he was giving away $1,000 a time. So I think he was just trying to get ideas and things. So, and it worked. It really got him attention, which is what politicians like. And he got some ideas. So I think he's one to watch.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah? You're about to say something?
I was going to say 2028 is probably going to be a race between Kanye and Andrew Yang.
That'd be funny to see. But Jay says, is the deficit a consideration at all in your decision making here on Twitter? And when it comes to the deficit, like at the moment, the deficit is not the thing that you have to worry about, because you need to stimulate the economy. People need to be spending money.
Yeah, well, deficit. People seem to confuse deficit and debt too. It's deficit is that your government is running at a loss year to year. Debt is the money you've got to pay back overall. You can only start paying back the debt when you're in surplus.
Yeah,
and people don't seem to understand the difference, because the debt is like in Australia, we've got 130 billion worth of debt right now because of COVID in particular, and it's going to take us decades to pay that off.
And every country is in debt.
Yeah, you wonder who you're in debt to, don't you?
Yeah.
Except maybe China.
Well, basically, the reason why every country is in debt is because they're in debt to its citizens. Or more specifically, I think they're more in debt to the Cayman Islands.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
But for some countries anyway, debt doesn't really matter, because say that all the US debt is to China. If the US just says, yeah, we're not going to pay that back, is China going to start a war over that? I don't think so. Yeah. Especially when the US is their number one customer. So.
Yeah. And honestly, in New Zealand, I don't think that New Zealand had to go into as much debt as other countries, like America, because we did a lockdown that worked fairly effectively against coronavirus. So,
well, it's also fairly easy when you're an island, a long way from anywhere that no one wants to go to. So, relatively. You don't have a lot of business travellers coming to New Zealand. They're not opening new mines and things like that. So it's very. I'm not diminishing the achievement. It was a great achievement to basically wipe out coronavirus in New Zealand. Do you have any cases at the moment?
Yeah, we've got case. Like if I go.
So there are some cases, but compared to a place like the US, where you got 330 million people there in the first place, and you've got millions of people coming in and out every day, that's a lot harder to protect against.
Yeah, so... okay, so we've got a current total of 50 active cases in New Zealand, right? And 16 of those were in the last 96 hours, right? And when you go to total cases by location, in Auckland there's 0, in Bay of Plenty there's 0. You can see 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right down until you get to managed isolation and quarantine, and it says 50. So yeah, all our cases
you have are contained. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, we've managed it pretty well, because it was looking like we're going to do pretty badly. Until we did the lockdown, and at which point, things started. And there was one point where we had a surge in cases because it got back in, because there was some community transmission, but then they utilized things like we had a small lockdown in the areas that were mostly affected, and we had a contact tracing effort to find out who has been affected and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we've done pretty well here in New Zealand.
Yeah, and we're similar because we're in a similar situation, although it's a much bigger island. But we can easily manage who's coming to the country and who isn't. And with quarantine for those few people who are coming, we can pretty much control it. And whenever there is an outbreak, because people don't report their symptoms and things like that, we can isolate them pretty quickly, and we can trace who they've been in contact with. And we've kept it down pretty well too. Well, I don't think we've even got 1,000 deaths yet, even though every death is a tragedy. But compared to other countries, 1,000 deaths is nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, the next bit of stupid that we've got is from Pastor Greg Locke. If anyone knows who that is. So
name rings a bell.
Joe Biden says, I know it's hard to forego holiday traditions, but it is so very important. Please wear masks, limit the size of any groups, and refrain from travelling. We have to stay apart just a little longer, and that doesn't seem to have anything wrong with it. It's a good statement. Except for Pastor Greg Locke, who seems to think that there's everything wrong with that, by saying, you're a deluded old fool. You hate America so much. You are bought by China. You lost the election by a historical margin. You will never be president, and you can stick your mask in your ear. How much did Joe Biden lose the election by? Was it like... I thought he won the election by 7 million votes, but maybe he lost the election by 7 million votes. I'm just confused.
Well, I think that response speaks for itself. We don't really need to add to it, do we?
Yeah, like just the amount of... It's surprising, honestly, how people can get things so wrong.
Well, it's because they're people. That's part of human nature, isn't it? It's just amazing, though, that people still say masks don't help. Like that idiot Thompson, when he did that video, and he was in a store saying, well, you're all wearing masks, so I'm protected, so why do I need to wear a mask? Because you need to protect everyone else from you. You don't know if you've got it or not. No one does until they've been diagnosed. Yeah, it's just
and people are saying that Joe Biden lost by negative 7 million votes.
That's one way of putting it, yeah. I do find it rather odd that he got more votes than Obama ever did. Joe Biden, I mean, he's nowhere near as interesting as Obama.
To be fair, like, let's see, how many people voted for Obama in 2008? There we go. We'll go to Wikipedia and see if there's anything there. So, Obama got 69 million votes. Nice.
Yeah. Biden got 80 or so.
And what about in 2012? He got 65 million votes. Yeah, but do you know who else got more votes than Obama ever did?
Clinton?
No. Like in this election, so Joe Biden got more votes than Obama did, but who else got more votes than Obama ever did?
I'm guessing you're going to say Trump.
Exactly. Maybe.
Yeah, I think a lot more people were engaged this time around than in past years.
Yeah, and as Robert Williams said, people weren't voting for Biden, they were voting against Donald Trump. And
Donnie T. Rump.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that a lot of people, like you see a lot of lefties would say, I'm not voting for Biden, I'm voting against Trump because Biden may be bad, but Trump is far worse.
And you know what that means? It means whoever the candidate was, it didn't really matter. They could have put up a jar of old cream or something, and they still would have won. So they went through all that, the hassle and the expense. It's just insane the amount of money they spend on becoming the candidate, let alone the president. Just when it didn't really matter who they picked.
Yeah, people often say, you got a lot of Bernie people that will say Bernie or bust, and you got a lot of people saying that, if Bernie got in, no one would vote for him because they don't want a socialist. However, first off, Bernie's not socialist. He's a sock dem. But secondly, when it comes to Biden, he only won because people were voting against Trump. If it was Ted Cruz that he was up against, then Ted Cruz would have a chance of winning against Biden, Particularly because we don't know what a Ted Cruz presidency would look like.
Pretty scary, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So, but, Joe Biden presidency isn't going to be great, but it's not going to be as bad as Trump's.
He won't be president for very long anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously, the choice of Harris was... they obviously want her to be president rather than him, but she wasn't going to get there because she is absolutely hopeless at campaigning.
Yeah, she had she did really well at one point in the primaries, and that's when she absolutely roasted Joe Biden, but afterwards it was just a steady decline until she dropped out.
And because of that, she's not the natural choice for Biden, put it that way.
Yeah.
But they've been opponents for a long time, and you can tell that she was chosen, and not by Biden, by the party, obviously.
Yeah.
Simply because they knew that Biden's not going to last. And, as we've just been saying, the reason Biden got elected because he wasn't Trump. It didn't really matter who the candidate was.
Yeah.
And she's the one that they actually want to be the president. So, simply because she's a woman of color, basically. But hopefully she's actually got some skills in being the president as well. A lot of people rise to the occasion, and I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
But I don't think Biden's going to be president past a year because he really is failing. I mean, he was good in the debates, but they could have easily drugged him up for that. So.
Yeah, everyone has a few gaffes, though, because, sure he stammers, but so does Trump. Trump, you can view compilations on YouTube that has Trump, misspeaking or something, and, Biden will misspeak at times. And he does say some really stupid things
yeah, but Trump never looks like he's doesn't know who he is and where he is. Biden does often. They've shown it many times, and that's on the friendly news services. So yeah, it's sort of a real worry. But then again, Ronald Reagan was exactly the same, and he had 2 terms.
Yeah, I suppose it's just, mate. You know what we need to do? We need to stop old people from running for president.
Old white guys, yeah.
Yeah. What we need to do is we need to have an age limit on president. If you're over 60, you can't run for president. Don't they have an age limit on how young you can be before you can run for president?
Yeah, you've got to be 40, I think, or it might be 35, something like that. Because Kennedy was pretty close to it.
Yeah.
You've got to have it, and that's wise. You've got to have enough experience to be able to deal with the politics at the very least, let alone running the country.
Yeah.
But yes, I think 65 should be the maximum age that you should be allowed to run for president.
Yeah.
Because there are obviously people older than that who are sharp and that kind of thing. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
She should have retired long ago. There should be a maximum age on, and we're not talking politics here, we're talking about Supreme Court, but she should have retired a long time ago. But making her the judge for life just means that for the last 6-7 years or however long it's been, she hasn't been able to do her job. And what's the point of that?
Yeah. But what we need to... someone says now we're at 11 or 12 for the age that someone can become president. I assume that's
yes, to some extent.
Oh, I know.
They certainly behaved at that age.
Oh, I know. That was actually something different. I thought they were referring to something else. But anyway, but it still seems like what we're at for the age of. But no, I think that we should put an limit. The reason why I think there should be a limit on the age that you can be before you can be, or that you can be president until, right, is because, I mean, firstly, Trump's going to go for a second term in 2024, from what I can tell, right? So
I bet he won't, but you can have your opinion. So can I.
Yeah, I hope that he won't, but it seems like there's a lot of rumours going around that he will. But secondly, like, when you're 65, you don't have much time left on this earth.
Oh, 65 you do, but 75, you're getting close. I think the average lifespan at the moment for a male in America is 78. So yeah, if you're running for president at 75, well, you might not live out your term if you're average.
Yeah.
Of course, the president gets a whole lot of medical attention that other people don't get, but yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to presidents, generally you're looking out for your own interests, right? So, if you're a really old person, you'll generally be looking out for other old people as well as yourself. Whereas a younger person is going to be more looking out for younger people. And I think it's
really
good. Well,
I would never think of it that way. I mean, if you're in government, you're thinking about what's best for the majority. I guess there's fewer older people the older you get, but yeah, I wouldn't have thought people think, oh, I'm old, so therefore I'm going to favour old people. I don't see life working that way. But hey, you can have your opinion, I can have mine.
People generally look out for the groups that they're a part of, right? Now there are people
but I don't think that applies to age. I really don't, because I don't remember when I was younger thinking, oh, I'm going to look after the younger people. I just don't see that. I mean, you're still a young person. You haven't had the experience of being older. So, this is why I'm saying I've got this perspective which you don't.
Well, I'd say that all younger people tend to have a mindset of we need to look out for the next generation compared to older people. Although, to be fair, Joe Biden has said that we need to, that the next generation is what we're leaving the country, is basically what we've got to prepare for. So
I think that's totally wrong, because the older generation gave birth to the younger generation. They are so protective of them. If you've ever been a parent, you understand what I mean.
But, like, Donald Trump hasn't said anything about the next generation. Like, he's generally saying about jobs. So,
Well, that is to the next generation. If you don't have, as we talked about earlier, if you don't have a job, then your life's going to be shit.
Yeah, but there are like heaps of factors, I guess. So, anyway, we'll go on to the next thing, because we've been on this point for quite a long time. So, imagine being a poor person seeking housing and getting this response. Hey Christine, sorry I haven't responded earlier. My concern is that you're a Capricorn. Our main goal is to keep things egalitarian without anyone being in charge or doming the household. I love Capricorns, but I don't think I could live with one or be in a band with another one. This Virgo/Gemini house is a special place where soft, mutable signs get to run free, untethered by cardinal authorities. I wish you well on your search and hope you are doing okay.
Yes. That's basically, it's the same as if, you don't believe in the flat earth, so therefore we won't give you a home.
Yeah, I think that it's overdue for me to make another astrology video.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, because it seems that a lot of people are starting to believe in astrology, and it's affecting more and more people. Because I am my own person. Just because I'm a Scorpio or whatnot, that doesn't mean that I am whatever says about a Scorpio,
Yeah. I mean, astrology has been debunked so many times, it's just amazing that anyone believes in it. But it's certainly, they shouldn't be running their lives based on what some person who's taking money for it says in the newspaper about their horoscope or whatever, wherever they find the horoscope. It's just ridiculous. And yeah, as you said, as this is the point of this particular one, a poor person seeking housing and got a response like this,
Yeah. It does suck that those people exist. But anyway,
I would have thought it's against some sort of law, some sort of discrimination law.
Yeah.
What a thing to base it on.
Unfortunately, the time that you're born is not a protected class. Anyway, the next thing is someone saying that we don't. I don't want your $2,000. I don't want your dumb $2,000 either. I want to eat in restaurants. I want a haircut. I want jobs. I want my country back. And
cool. Yeah. Stay at home for a month.
Yeah.
If everyone stayed at home for a month, except people delivering food and things like that, COVID would be over because it only lasts in the natural environment for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if we stay home for a month, you can't transmit it, the virus dies, and we can go back to work. But no one wants to do that, do they?
I feel like a vaccination program as well as a lockdown in America would eradicate COVID.
Assuming that it works, yeah.
Yeah.
The jury's still out on that. I want to see how they might have done trials and tests and things like that, and I have faith in that process, but I'd like to see that these people don't get it.
And also, firstly, wearing a mask out in public would, even when people are getting vaccinated, wearing a mask is still going to help, right? Because,
And not just for COVID, for all sorts of things.
Because the
flu in particular.
Yeah, the vaccine is only 95% effective, so you may still have COVID even if you're vaccinated. So still wear a mask, right? Until there are basically, until there's only one case in a day in America, wear a mask. Because at the point of there being one case a day, I think it'll be easy to manage then. And there's
what I
not
don't
gonna be
get
resurgence.
What I don't get is the same people who are anti-mask are the same people who are against the CCT face recognition technology. I would have thought a mask screws that completely.
Yeah,
wear a mask, you screw up the face recognition technology.
Yeah, if you don't want to be tracked, wear a fucking mask.
It used to be that you never wore a mask because that's hiding your identity, and that's not a social thing to do. Because our evolution means that we recognise each other by our facial expressions and features. But now everyone should be wearing a mask just so that they don't die. That's a better reason, I would have thought.
Yeah, although apparently people don't think that's a good reason because my freedoms.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have a point. I mean, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. But if you're being too vigilant, you might say, and not taking conditions into account, the situation into account, then all you're doing is creating problems and prolonging the pandemic.
True.
And that's the thing. At the beginning of this, our main task was to not overwhelm the hospitals. And I think we did that because people stayed at home and lockdown worked. And masks helped in that regard as well. But now people are sort of blatantly breaking all that, and the pandemic is still going.
Yeah.
And like I said, if we all stayed at home for a month and didn't contact anyone, physically anyway, it'd be gone.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that's 100% accurate, but that's certainly in the direction of accurate.
Yeah, it's one of them things where in places like America, I can understand not being able to eradicate it fully. But at least, getting the pandemic down to a point where it's only a few hundred people, and that's going to work. And how many cases in Italy have there been lately? Let's go to World Thomas.
Well, I remember at the beginning, Italy was absolutely raging with COVID. Yeah. I'm not sure what the situation is now, though. I got the impression that they got it under control, which was rather surprising, given how bad it was.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing up Italy particular case. Now, they may have had a resurgence recently.
Yeah, there's a few waves going through. And plus, it keeps saying there's a mutated strain, which makes it more virulent, although less likely to kill you, which is the way viruses usually go.
Yeah, we'll go down to Italy, which has a total of 2 million cases. Okay, so they got it under control, and then they had a huge resurgence recently. 2
million cases is a lot, because I remember when it was raging, the worldwide cases was 1 million. Yeah. So 2 million in one country alone, that's scary. Yeah. They also said that Italy was a particular case because there was a lot of old people, so they were more susceptible, so there was a lot more cases. But again, that was back at the beginning. I don't know what's happening now.
Yeah, so they did have a recent resurgence, like a huge resurgence, but it's one of them cases where they did have it under control for a while, and then it came back.
Yeah.
Because people got complacent.
Absolutely. Or they were demanding their rights, you know?
Yeah. And like that's the same thing that happened in New Zealand. Like people just got complacent and stopped taking measures to, they stopped scanning the code before you go into stores. And I'll admit that I have done a little bit of that. But there is now a end of the pandemic in sight, and in places that have managed the virus well, like New Zealand, once the vaccine is out, we're just going to be all immune here in New Zealand. In America, once the vaccine is out, it's still going to be spreading until
it'll slow it down, but
it'll slow it down, but it will still be spreading, and it'll take a while before there's enough vaccines for a place like America, whereas New Zealand will probably have enough vaccines to fairly quickly, I'd say.
Yeah.
And one person.
Well, the thing about America, though, is that the vaccine will enable people to go back to work physically. Although I think most of us have figured out how to do it non-physically now. We realise a whole lot of meetings we have aren't necessary.
True. Although Pan Duffin says, if we wore a mask during the flu season, less people would die of the flu too. Exactly. That's why I think that we should wear a mask during the flu season.
And this is why we see a difference in Asian countries where that's much more a part of the culture, is wearing a mask, although they do it for pollution reasons. But in Japan and Korea, they certainly have had their trials, but as a percentage of population, they've got much lower rates than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, and
most places in the world.
And I hope that outside of businesses, we still supply sanitizer. Because that was great. I love that, free sanitizer outside of every business. Not necessarily free to take home, but free to just, put some on your hands. If your hands feel a bit dirty or sweaty, you can put some on your hands and you got clean hands. That was great.
I love the automatic ones where you just shove your hand underneath and it sprays your hand, and then you rub your hands, and it encourages you to do it as well. And if you can sanitize your hands, then anything you touch you're not going to be transmitting the virus, even if you've got it, I guess.
And you're not going to spread other viruses as much either.
Yeah, and as I said it before, the cold and flu rates this year have been way down.
Yeah.
And that's just people washing their hands, basically.
I did get a cold this year, but...
yeah, I did too.
But it was... it certainly wasn't as bad as most years. It was actually fairly bearable this year, as opposed to most years. So that was good. It was basically one of them cases where I got a scratchy throat and a bit of a blocked nose, and after a few days it was gone. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. That's cold. That's not COVID. That's a cold. Yeah, and they still exist.
Yeah, they still exist. Like, I wasn't going to go get tested because for it, although maybe I should have, because who knows what it was. I think it was a cold. I'm not sure. I didn't
Astro
lose...
Rex has posted something in the chat that I don't understand. He says it will not slow it down. The vaccine will not prevent contagion. That's the point of a vaccine, isn't it? I don't get what you're saying.
Well, if enough people are vaccinated, then herd immunity will become a thing, right? Because if enough people are immune to it, then, you know...
Yeah, but if you've got the vaccine, you can't get it. That means it prevents the contagion for you. And if you don't have it, you can't spread it to someone else. So why would that not slow it down?
Well, there is a 95% chance that it stops the... when you get the vaccine, it's 95% effective.
So will 95% slow it down? So I don't get his point.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is that when people get the vaccine, that doesn't reduce the R value or something of it. But it will.
Yeah.
Well,
if you have it, you can still give it, yes. But if you got a vaccine, you won't have it.
Yeah.
You can still touch it, I guess. It just won't affect you, and you can spread it in that regard. But that's community transmission has been so small compared to coming in from outside. So
yeah.
Because people are doing all these measures like washing their hands and things. So.
Yeah. Anywho, where was I? There we go. Rush of Stupid. Oh, that's right. We're gonna bring up the. So, breaking! A new governing body update video has been released, spinning the usual, only Jehovah's Witnesses know how to properly respond to a pandemic narrative. One noteworthy stat, 7,500 Jehovah's Witnesses have died due to COVID-19 as of December 20th.
It's just so weird. I don't know how to respond. Why would Jehovah's Witnesses think that they're immune?
Because they're
or know
God's,
how to properly respond to a pandemic.
Because they're God's chosen people.
Well, I know that there are Christian groups who believe that they're still meeting in churches because they believe God will protect them, but then they all get COVID and a lot of them die, unfortunately. So, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. When it comes to... it's basically saying, okay, because Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult, it's basically saying, look, we're Jehovah's Witnesses, we know how to deal with it. It's not the, people that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't know how to properly deal with it. And we do. Trust us. Trust the cult.
Yeah, but what is it they do? Obviously, it doesn't work because 7,500 of them. Although, how do they tell that they're Jehovah's Witnesses? I don't know where they get that data from.
Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not something that, when you're a religious person, when you die, it's not necessarily known whether you're a religious person. But with Jehovah's Witnesses, there'd be I think the JWs have a list of whoever's a member and all that kind of stuff.
Well, then why would they release the data that so many of them have died? Especially when they're trying to make this claim that they know how to respond to a pandemic. I suspect it's more that if these people died in a hospital, whenever you enter the hospital, you record your religion because, to enable pastors from that religion to come and minister to you.
But it would also...
that's probably how they get the stat. I'm always wary when they just quote a stat like that, but with no idea of where the stat comes from, that's all.
Yeah. But,
it's sort of like saying, statistics can prove anything. 73% of people know that.
Yeah. Ugly German Truth says an announcement dated November 2020 instructing members to maintain precautions during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Jehovah's Witness revealed that over 130,000 adherents were infected with the virus and at least 5,000 have died. Okay, so that's probably where they got the numbers from.
So it's from the Jehovah's Witnesses themselves. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And again, like I said, why would they release those figures if they're saying they're the ones that know how to respond? Because it kind of negates that.
True. Okay. So apparently this person was attacked by people with quote-unquote self-esteem issues, because he says that he's quote-unquote right about narcissism not being real.
Isn't that narcissistic in itself?
Yeah. Like, narcissism is definitely real. I've met narcissistic people. Flat earthers are very narcissistic people. Hovind is a narcissistic person.
Thompson is too.
Oh yeah,
He's like a classic example.
Yeah, both Hovind and Thompson are narcissistic people. One person says, "Oh God, Scott Adams." I don't know who Scott. Like, hopefully there's not porn when I click on his name. Like, what does his profile say? You might enjoy my extra provocative content and micro lessons on success and persuasion. Okay,
I don't see a Scott Adams in the chat.
No. This here.
Oh right. Oh, he's the Dilbert guy.
Okay. But yeah, like, I do like this reply here, where it says, signs and symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder and the severity of the symptoms vary. People with the disorder can have an exaggerated sense of self-importance, have a sense of entitlement, and require constant, excessive admiration. Actually, this sounds like Donald Trump. Expect to be recognized as superior even without achievements that warrant it. Exaggerate achievements and talents. Okay, honestly, this sounds exactly like Donald Trump. Be preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. Believe they are superior and can only associate with equally special people. Monopolize conversations and belittle or look down on people they perceive as inferior. Okay, that sounds like Oakley and Trump. Expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with their expectations. That definitely sounds like Oakley. Take advantage of others to get what they want. Have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. Be envious of others and believe others envy them. Behave in an arrogant or haughty manner, coming across as conceited, boastful, and pretentious. That's definitely Oakley. Insist on having the best of everything, for instance, the best car or office. Yeah, or
the best dildo, that's Oakley.
Yeah, that sounds like flat earthers. It sounds like Donald Trump. Like, this sounds like it was specifically written to describe Donald Trump. Right?
Well, I'm thinking of the gold curtains and the gold staircase and the gold toilet.
Yeah. I like this one here. Have difficulty regulating emotions and behavior. Yeah, that's that is definitely Oakley in a nutshell. But yeah, like, narcissism is real. Like, not everybody that is described as being narcissistic necessarily has narcissistic personality disorder, but narcissism is definitely a real thing that people have.
Yep.
Like, people may be narcissistic, but like, it's like people might be autistic without necessarily being autistic, you know? Or not necessarily having autism. Like, people can have an autistic personality, but not have autism.
Autistic characteristics, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how autism is defined. But yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be a spectrum, so everyone is autistic to some extent. It's just a matter of how that plays out.
Yeah, and personally, I think that autistic people are great, you know? I am fairly certain that, I have ADHD, right? So, that is on the spectrum somewhere. So, you know, I think that my ADHD, in some instances, it doesn't work too well, but in some instances, it helps my creativity.
Yeah, well, definitely a lot of computer programmers, developers is the term we use these days. They are autistic to some extent. You need that sort of mindset to be able to achieve. It's almost idiot savant sort of levels of programming, because you can come up with this brilliant code, but you absolutely crap at working with other people.
Yeah.
One of the companies I worked for they did a partnership with another company, and that other company was a consulting company, and they had as their requirement for employees that they wouldn't employ anyone who wasn't in the top 2% of IQ level based on their test. The thing is, their IQ tests didn't rule out insanity. There's a lot of very high IQ people who are insane because they're autistic. I'm not saying all autistic people are insane, but they don't have the skills they need to be able to operate in a workforce, is what I'm getting at. So normal people would consider them insane. And you can't do software development without having a team approach, because no one can do it all themselves.
Absolutely. Like, for the in the code for my game, I've written basically all the code except for the engine, right? And one of the things that I was congratulated on by a fellow programmer was my ability to make a virtual keyboard. So this is something that you can you can put your mouse over and click, and then when you click, it comes up with, selects that button. You can also press Shift on your actual keyboard to make everything in capitals. You can also press anything on your actual keyboard to type that out, and when you type something out on your actual keyboard, it doesn't necessarily select the button that you press. So, yeah, and I was congratulated on that, and I'm like, it's easy, So, yeah.
Well, that's the other side of Dunning-Kruger, isn't it? There's the Mount Stupid side of Dunning-Kruger, where people think that they know things when they actually know nothing, and that's why they're on the top of Mount Stupid. But the other side of it is people at the right-hand side of the graph who know a lot of things, and they're actually experts, but they don't think there's anything to it. They think, hey, that's just what I do.
Yeah.
And people sort of ignore that part of Dunning-Kruger.
Like, the way that I think about programming is actually really easy. It's just a lot of people have
the bugs that are difficult.
Well, yeah, the bugs are difficult, but a lot of people have this idea that it's because they get greeted with like 1,000-line scripts and all that, and it's like, well, yeah, sometimes you do have these 1,000-line scripts, but that's not the norm when it comes to programming, right?
No, you modularize your program so that, if you have a problem, you can isolate it easily.
Yeah. Basically, it's breaking down the problem into manageable bite-sized parts. And when you do that, then, you get things a lot better. Like, the reason why some of my previous games that I've worked on haven't been that great is because I didn't break it down into bite-sized approaches. Whereas this game, it's been a lot better because I've actually gone, okay, well, I'm going to, rather than just creating a button and being like, okay, this is a button, let me make it do all the things that a button does, and then when I need to go create another button, I need to create another button for that thing. I was like, okay, let's create an overall button, right? This is the button thing, and then each button after that does an individual, it's based on that original button, but it also does its own individual thing as well. So, and that's how I've approached this one, and it becomes so much easier when you approach it in that way. But I suppose you need to learn how to approach it in a particular way, is another thing.
Well, you've never actually worked for a software house, have you?
No.
So you're not only doing it all yourself, you're learning it from scratch, you might say, and figuring it out from first principles.
Well, I do have a graduate diploma in IT, which my main focus was programming. In fact, my year 3 project was programming a website, and I was back in I was mainly on back-end development.
Yeah, but academia tells you about things. It doesn't. It's not the same as actually doing it for real.
True.
And you're doing it for real now. And you'll be aware of the software development life cycle, but you've never actually been through it as a boss would require you to, because it's really developed so that you can churn out a product for the least amount of money, but get the best result. And so like you haven't really done the business analyst stage or the requirement gathering stage. You're doing that as you go along, which is not the way most programmers would work, because they have a boss managing what they're doing and trying to get it all done efficiently. So that they can get a product for the lowest price and therefore get the highest profit. Whereas you're not doing that. You're doing this because you want to, and you're hoping it'll give you a profit, but you're just pouring. It's really very much an expression of yourself.
Yeah, well, one of the things is that one of the things in development that I do is I often try and get information from the people that have played it, right? So someone might say, okay, the music's too loud. And it's like, okay, well, let's implement a volume slider, right? And that's actually something that I'm going to implement. I'm going to have a settings, and in the settings, it's going to have a volume slider, which you can select the background, the volume of the background music and the volume of the music, or the volume of the music and the volume of the sound effects, right? And you'll be able to adjust them so that it's not too loud and it's not... even though there are games out there that don't have volume sliders, right?
Yes, they're very annoying because a lot of them have music that's annoying and you don't want to listen to it. You can't get rid of it.
Although I am going to have the game throw a shitty at you if you turn off the music, basically. Like, no shit, I'm actually going to have the game, if you turn off the music for the game, it's basically just going to show an angry face drawn in MS Paint.
Terribly, eh?
Yeah,
part of the agile project management methodology is to test it with the users to see if it meets their needs.
Yep.
And you test elements of it, so that, because agile, you deliver a product at the end of each cycle, and that should be ready to go for production, but it's usually just a segment of the entire whole, which you bring together at the end. Well, and you want to make sure that the customer has confidence that you're developing what they want, and that's why you test it with them, and you get suggestions like you just made. So
so many of the features that I've got in the game are taken from people saying, okay, what about this? And some of the features, or some of the anti-features, like I removed saving at any point because people were abusing that, right? And it's like, okay, I'm going to stop save scumming by making it so that you can't save everywhere. There's going to be two types of save. There's the auto save, and then there's the manual save, and the manual save can only be done at certain points.
Okay. Well, I'd have to see how that gets implemented. It's not something I'd like. Auto save, yes, you want that, but manual save, you'd want... Oh, you mean during the gameplay? Because you need to be able to finish a game. You can't just save in the middle of a game or something.
Yeah, it's one of them things where you've got to reach a save point to be able to save, and the simple reason for that is because, if you go for if you reach a save point and then, let's say you're on 1 HP and then you save, you're pretty fucked. Especially if you have 1 HP, no MP, no items, then you're pretty screwed. And especially in my game, because so you might enter a random encounter, you might come across an enemy, or there might be a place where it's almost impossible to not take damage. So I've made it so that when you reach a save point, all your HP gets restored, and all your HP is restored, and you can save, basically. So that means that when you save there, your save is basically safe, and there's no worry about overwriting a save that might have been good for a save that you're going to die in, and you're never going to be able to get anywhere with that save.
Yeah, it's a pointless save. You can still do it, but it's pointless.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go to the next thing.
On with the stupid.
Yep. Alright, so Francis Bacon.
Yes, famous explorer. Oh, yeah. Wait.
So this is more of a story to just, I suppose there's some kind of moral to this story. When I was young, my father said to me, "Knowledge is power, Francis Bacon." I understood it as
bacon.
Knowledge is power, France is bacon. For more than a decade, I wondered over the meaning of the second part, and what was the surreal linkage between the two. If I said the quote to someone, "Knowledge is power, France is bacon," they nodded knowingly. Or someone might say, "Knowledge is power," and I'd finish the quote, "France is bacon." And they wouldn't look at me like I said something very odd, but thoughtfully agree. I did ask a teacher what did "knowledge is power, France is bacon" mean, and I got a full 10-minute explanation of the "knowledge is power" bit, but nothing on the "France is bacon." When I prompted further explanation by saying "France is bacon" in a questioning tone, I got a yes. At 12, I didn't have the confidence to press it further. I just accepted it as something I'd never understand. It wasn't until years later I saw it written down and the penny dropped. So...
Well, it's like until I was 9 years old, I thought my first name was Dickhead. Dad had said, "Come here, Dickhead."
That sounds like something that would happen in New Zealand as well.
It'd be Duck God.
It'd be like...
It's actually hard to speak without vowels. I don't know how you guys do it.
Well, it's very easy to say, dickhead. This is... I feel like I do use vowels. It's just that people seem to...
you just use them incorrectly, yes. I'll spuck a bot like this.
Again, understand everything you're saying there now.
Like I said, my accent's good.
Well, it means that you're not using an accent.
Sorry, it's accent.
Yeah, and people need to start speaking without... People need to stop these silly accents and just speak without an accent.
Yeah, got to speak proper like what Wheeze does.
Oh, and... this is something that... that I've seen. So, apparently, there was someone that said... The chick who fainted after taking the vaccine is dead. Unless, of course, her public records are merely a huge coincidence. So, yeah, I do agree with what Novadia says here. Who says, "COVID only has a 2% death rate. Why should you care?" Same people. "Oh my god, someone died from a vaccine that's been administered to millions of people, so it's dangerous." Fun fact. Nobody has died of the COVID-19 vaccine yet.
Yes, including this nurse.
Because if we go down, I saw a reply somewhere. Oh yeah, and it's like, fact check: a nurse who fainted after the COVID-19 vaccine is still alive.
Yes, not according to Sleeping Dumbass, of course, who was insisting that she was dead without any proof whatsoever. He was saying that it was up to us to prove that she was alive. What? You prove you're alive.
Yeah, prove to us that flurfism hasn't killed you yet.
No, he's brain dead, that's for sure. But he was so insistent that she's dead. But, well, he was putting up evidence.
Fact check.
Well, there was this guy who put out a video, which he mirrored. This guy was looking through the death records, and he found one, but there were no dates on it. It just said someone called Tiffany Dover, who was 30 years old, was dead. But it could have been from the 1800s, for all we know, because there were no dates on it, on the thing. It was just a record. But he didn't look at it further to prove whether or not it was the right one we're talking about.
Yeah. Like, basically, his whole burden of proof thing is very... Like, I could say, oh, look at this person called Anthony Riley who died. Therefore, Anthony Riley must be dead. Who are you?
I am certain we can find records that do that. We should do that. Say, no, you're dead. No, shut up. You're dead.
If someone can find that in chat, a record of Anthony Riley being dead, link it to me on Twitter. I will make a video saying that Anthony Riley is dead.
Yes, Ugly German Truth. Yes, that record is obviously wrong because her age is 30, not 42. Apart from the born in Alabama, died in Georgia, because that was not relevant. She actually lives in Huntsville, Alabama. She works in what's the name of the hospital? It's not coming to me. But it's in another state, but it's like 20 miles away, so it's an easy commute.
Yeah. So,
because in America, states are different from Australia. Australia's states are miles and miles, hundreds of kilometres away, whereas in the US, states are like, around the next hill.
Wait, what's Flat Earth Aussie? Oh, wait, did we say Flat Earth Aussie Jesus' name 3 times?
We did about an hour ago. No, we haven't for a while.
Okay.
He must have woken up from his stupor.
Yeah, maybe it took him a while to... Maybe he's like, what's the, what's the thing that you say 3 times into the mirror and then...
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, maybe he's like, drunk Beetlejuice or something.
Drunk Beetlejuice, yeah.
Where you say his name 3 times and he will appear, but it takes a while.
Well, it's 9:30 in the morning where he is. I'm surprised he's up.
Oh, someone was able to actually link something in chat. Surprisingly.
Yeah, apparently they came back last Tuesday.
Okay. So, yeah, Anthony Riley, the voice. Okay. Yeah, if anyone has any more Anthony Rileys, because this... I don't think this Anthony Riley will be convincing, because like if I just bring him up, I doubt this Anthony Riley will be very convincing, because
well, be as convincing as Riley's proof that Tiffany Dover is dead. The Friendly Antinatalist, that's nothing. In Queensland, you can drive for 3 days and still be in Queensland. Queensland is 3 times the size of Texas. It's a tiny state. And we're not even the biggest state in Australia.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go to the next. Yeah, this here. So, S.J. Thomason says, right now we're witnessing a secular train wreck on society in Europe. Please explain. And then this person here, Jay, says, in what way is there a train wreck? Do you mean things like gay marriage, women's bodily rights, healthcare for all, etc.? And then she says, 2 words, bestiality brothels.
Yes. I read ahead and I'm still shocked.
What?
I thought those were called farms. I mean, you're in New Zealand, it's mostly sheep, but yeah.
Yeah, I found an Anthony Michael Riley in the Woodlands, Texas. Who cares that these...
No, that wouldn't work. He's Anthony David Riley.
Oh, so if anyone can find an Anthony David Riley, that would be even better. But, I'll just...
It's got the same name, so it must be the same person,
Yeah. But yeah, there are over 600 death records for Anthony Rileys in the US. Nice.
So he's definitely dead.
Yep. So, Yeah, apparently this is happening, even though I've never heard of it before. Apparently that's something that's...
The bestiality brothel? Why would you go somewhere for that? Anywhere there's an... If you're into that, if there's anywhere there's an animal, that's where you need to be. It would pay for it.
Yeah, like, why hasn't there been public outcry about it?
I think most public don't believe it happens.
Yeah. Which is a... So how does she know... So how does she know that they exist?
That's a good point.
If the public doesn't know...
I always find it amazing when people come up with these sort of things and they say, oh, these are terrible things. I say, well, I didn't know about this until you just told me. How did you find out about it?
Yeah. But anyway, moving on to the next thing, because we've been live for over 2 hours. I didn't actually expect there to be this much to go through.
Well, my brain is fried, that's for sure. There's so much stupid.
Yeah. So the Arizona Republican Party says, we at the Republican Party of Arizona have a new policy of blocking Twitter users whose accounts were created in or after November 2020, use anime avatars, have fewer than 25 followers, and spam reply our tweets. We aren't a big fan of bots. Thank you for following though.
If they're blocked, how can you thank them for following?
But like, we'll go to the next part, right? Oops, looks like we triggered some folks. Clarify, you must meet all of the criteria listed below to be blocked. If you don't have many friends or you simply have an affinity for anime, these two things might have something in common, then don't worry, you're safe. And then, there's even more. We love the anime community. Thanks for the follow, Mega Fox.
I wonder how many people they actually blocked as a result.
But like, here's the thing. So I can understand the created in or after November 2020, right?
Yep,
but
that's a
I'd
plus.
say created within the last month, right?
Yeah, given the election happened then. Yeah.
Have fewer than 25 followers. Like, to be fair, like, some people just don't have many followers, right? Like, not everybody...
Yeah, remember, this is an and situation, so November 2020, you're probably not going to have too many followers anyway, because it's only a month.
Yeah.
Or 2 months now, I guess, effectively.
Yeah, so, essentially, all these three things are moot, because spam reply our tweets, right?
That's the main one, yeah.
Yeah, like... That's the main thing that's gonna mean that you're a bot, right? If you spam reply in tweets.
A bot or an idiot, yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like the Arizona Republican Party is...
Well, I think the main thing here is that they didn't express themselves correctly. As they said, they should have said, if you met all these criteria, we're going to block you. And they should have said that more clearly the first time round. So, I just want to point out, David Oliver said in the chat, the film Twilight. It's a choice between necrophilia and bestiality.
I never thought of it that way. Interesting. All right.
An ugly German truce makes a good point about Riley. Why would we pay attention to the correct middle name for Riley? He didn't notice that he had the wrong fur coat.
That is a good point. I have a full video idea for this, which I might start recording after I've finished the current video that I'm working on. Because that sounds like a video that I can easily pump out. Anyway, let's talk about Ian Miles Wrong. Oh. Apparently that page doesn't...
That was there last night, I guess?
Yeah, it was... Yeah, like, let me read it out.
You should always screenshot these things.
Yeah, I can... The great thing about Discord is that it keeps a record of the tweets, so... Haha. Sorry, Ian, I'm gonna show how stupid you are. To everyone.
So his name's Ian Miles wrong, eh?
Oh, it's actually Ian Miles Chong.
Chong. Okay, I heard wrong.
Well, I did say wrong, but...
So I heard wrong in two ways, yeah.
Yeah. So, this is the tweet from Ian Miles. It was up at 8:18 a.m. today, so... Anyway, he says, mass psychosis, wearing personal protective equipment that doesn't actually stop you from getting sick and only prevents others from getting sick when you're not actually sick or in danger of spreading what you don't have to anyone else. So, Ian Miles Chong here is an idiot because, firstly, PPE is not to protect yourself. To protect other people.
Well, he does say that, but yeah.
Yeah. And it does work, right, when you're sick. And they've done tests which show that it stops the spread of it stops particulates from spreading as far. You know? So, yeah, like, people seem to... What's that?
Well, there's been a lot of studies recently which have been rather confusing with the results. Some say that masks don't have an effect, and others say that they do, and that's pretty typical for science. You come up with any particular thing, and you'll get results going both ways or the other. But then... If you get evidence on both sides of an argument, you go for risk minimisation. And risk minimisation is, it's bloody obvious that if you're sneezing and coughing and whatever, you've got a mask over your face, you're less likely to spread it to everyone.
But, like, when it comes to... when it comes to this, right... When it comes to the studies, should I say, the studies that appear to show that masks... are ineffective, they're generally looking at the people wearing the masks. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's one of these things where a lot of people don't realize that the studies that show that people wearing a mask don't seem to be at any reduced risk compared to the people that aren't wearing a mask, right? These studies don't contradict the fact that wearing a mask is to stop other people from getting sick. It's just that they're not as effective at keeping you safe as they are effective at keeping other people safe.
Yep.
So yeah. But anyway, let's go on to the next thing, because we're getting close to the end of the show here. And so this person says, I believe that Joe Biden is a traitor to the United States of America. Do you? No, I don't believe that he's a traitor to the USA.
Well, there's always going to be someone that says that about anyone who wins an election, aren't they?
Yeah. And then there's one person that responded with, yes, if you knowingly cheat to win a US election, especially if anything was done overseas, like pre-printed fake ballots or voting machines connected to the internet were manipulated, there's lots of evidence to unpack with everything they went on. The problem is that there isn't, right? If there's so much evidence, right? Like, here is the problem that a lot of people don't get. If there's so much evidence, then you should be able to bring in one killer piece of evidence, one solid piece of evidence. What is that solid piece of evidence that the election was rigged? If there's so much evidence, then bring in a solid piece of evidence. But no, they don't seem to bring in a solid piece of evidence. Instead, they try to gish gallop with multiple different pieces of evidence that aren't actually evidence. But when you bring in so many different pieces of evidence that aren't actually evidence, it's hard to go ahead and fact check every single piece of evidence.
Well, yeah, this is a typical persuasion technique. If you don't have any strong particular piece of evidence, you come up with a list of, say, 10 pieces of evidence that none of which are strong in themselves, none of which are conclusive in themselves. But because you've got 10 of them, people think, oh, you must have lots of evidence. Yeah. And this is what I'm doing with Rachie 50. I asked her, what's her top 5 evidences of the flat Earth? And I wish I could pull my finger out. Hopefully I'll get it finished before the year ends. But I'm going to debunk all 5. And because it's her top 5, if I debunk those, then anything else, any other argument she has, is obviously going to be weaker than those 5. So she should, if she's a reasonable person, just simply accept, okay, well, my top 5 bits of evidence have been debunked conclusively, so therefore I'm not a flat earther. Yeah. But of course that won't happen because she's a human being and emotions come into it. It's not about logic and facts or anything like that.
I'd like to have a discussion with Rachie because I think that if I could have a discussion with her, because she's very reasonable when it comes to discussions, right? She seems like she, from what I've seen of her discussions, it seems like she's trying to learn more, but she's, you've got the flat earthers that have convinced her that the earth is flat, so, it's one of them things where...
Well, she's got Bob Nodell in her ear a lot, unfortunately. She certainly reacts positive to him whenever I see them and chat together. And he's persuasive. He had people convinced that he was a pilot for 30 years until Wolfie proved that he wasn't.
Yeah.
And then he took away all references to the fact that he was a pilot because he's not.
Yeah. Like, what I might do is I might go, like, try and take things to basics, right? And say, okay, what convinced you that the Earth was flat? And then, and
yeah, I do that a lot.
If it was something like 200, Eric Dubé's 200 proofs, it's like, okay, well, you do realize that's a gish gallop. Like, because sometimes it's not so much that you've got to debunk what they believe. Sometimes it's a particular rhetorical strategy that has been used on them, and they just don't realize that it's a rhetorical strategy that doesn't actually prove anything.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the list persuasion, where they give you a whole lot of... No, that's what the 200 proofs are. A whole lot of things that just don't stand up. But because there's a lot of them, people think, oh, you must know what he's talking about. Because the people who think that don't know any better.
Exactly.
And that, this is Dunning-Kruger. Except in their case, they don't know enough to... They're on the extreme left-hand side of the graph. They haven't climbed Mount Stupid yet because they don't know anything. And that's not to insult them. They admit it themselves. They haven't learned enough to... And Rachel's the same. She hasn't learned enough to know, to be confident in what she knows yet. Yeah. And to her credit, she's asking a lot of people, getting a lot of different viewpoints.
Yeah. I am... Yeah. Well, hopefully we can convince Rachie that the Earth is not flat and is in fact a globe, but it will take one of them things where it may take some time, like seek truth, speak truth.
I don't think you ever convince anyone. I don't think you convince anyone. You give them what they need to make up their own mind, and the rest is up to them. Yeah.
Anyway, this is the last thing that we have from Captain Disillusion. Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag this because here's what it says. We have detected language in this post that may be outside of our community guidelines. Pornographic content.
What language? Gag, maybe.
There's absolutely no reason to do the goofy gag, but...
And if but had 2 B's, but then again 2 T's, but then again that's inoffensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's how. And how
is that pornographic? You've got a big nose.
Yeah. Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag this. But one person
and
says...
it says language. There's nothing in the language there.
Yeah.
Maybe gag. But gag, that's a word.
Maybe they think they're gagging goofy or like... I don't know. But Pop Tart makes a good point. Why does Patreon... even care about pornography in the first place. Sex workers need to get paid too. True. You know,
Sex workers would use Patreon?
some will. But like, sex workers is a very is an umbrella term for people that make pornographic content or make or you know.
Well, in other words, more they sold their bodies, but
yeah.
Prostitution was more sex workers than pornography makers, but it does say gay goofy meme, but that's nothing to do with the post to which it was tagged.
Possibly.
Anyway.
But yeah,
but even if it was, that's not against community guidelines, I would have thought. Saying gay.
Yeah. Who knows? But anyway, that's all I have for today. For nearly 3 hours.
Thank goodness for that. I can't take much more stupid.
Yeah, good thing it's ending on AI stupid rather than Fleur stupidity, because AI stupid is generally like, here's the thing, stupidity is more entertaining because it's not what you expect.
Yes, it's always funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas Fleur stupidity just is designed to hurt your brain.
Because it's coming from a brain that's been hurt. You can't think that way unless your brain's been hurt somehow.
True.
And think, I use the term loosely, think. So, I mean, as Roscoe's proving in the chat. So,
yeah, exactly. But anyway, just to give respects to Bullionator, I'm going to bring up this tweet before we end because, if people are just joining us now, it's something that is really disappointing, honestly. So,
yeah, quite sad, especially at this time of year.
Yeah. But yeah, it's only like a day or two after Christmas. So
yeah, and when I first saw this, I thought this must be some sort of sick joke because it was just hard to believe that it would happen to him. So.
It's not what you expect to see, and now you got a lot of people. Yeah, and you got Dave McInnes saying, I spoke with him just last night. We're going to hang out on my birthday tomorrow. Baller was like a brother, no words. And you see something like this, and you hope that it's not. You hope that it's not real. Even like when you first see it, you hope that it's not real. You hope that there's some kind of misunderstanding, but unfortunately, yeah. Anyway,
just sad. I mean, I presume it was a heart attack or something like that. It just goes suddenly, and it can happen to any of us, or a brain aneurysm, that kind of thing. It's just some things that happen to people, and it takes them away from us, and we feel their loss.
Absolutely.
Especially someone like Bull.
Yeah. But anyway, leave a like and subscribe if you liked this stream. Leave a comment letting me know what kind of streams you'd like to see in the future, because I'm always open to suggestions. I will see you in the next stream. Between you and me, thank you for watching.